Olivia here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, and today is Tuesday, December 22nd. I am filming my video a few days ahead of time because Christmas. So by the time you see this, it will be December 26th and beyond. So I hope that you had a very Merry Christmas and you are looking forward to a brand new year. This video is going to be a little different. It's not going to be an update video. Instead, I'm going to show you what is in my mocking basket of WIPS, my Heckling Drawer of Kits, my New Year, New Start, and my plans for 2021. So if that's not something that you're interested in seeing, I will be back in a week for a regular update. I can say that in my last video, I showed 3 things that I was working on. 2 are done and 1 is nearing the finish line. And I'm excited to show you all of those in my update video, which will be in a week. However, if you do want to see what is in my mocking basket, what I've been kitting up, what my plans are, and my New Year, New Start, stick around. And also, if you don't, everything I kept kitted up, so you're going to hear a lot of like opening and closing and unzipping and crackling and all of that. And so again, if that's not something that you like to hear or see, I'll be back in a week and I'll show you everything that I've been working on. And I don't think I will have started my New Year, New Start, but I will show it then again as well. What I'm going to get started with is showing you what is in the mocking basket of WIPS. And it's not really, it's a very lovely little narrow basket. It doesn't look very mocking like, but I do have it in my bedroom. So I like to keep everything that I'm working on close to me. And so it's in my bedroom. I see it every day. I see what is in it every single day. I keep thinking I should just shove it in the closet and then I don't have to look at it. But then of course I would forget it was there and I don't want to. So kind of the way I'm going to approach my rotation next year is I'm going to keep the WIP rotation on the weekend, so Saturdays and Sundays. I like that. What I typically do is whatever I'm working on Saturday and Sunday stays in my rotation until it is finished. And it's worked very well for me. I have been able to I finished Sally Spencer, I finished Glitter Village, I finished Queen of Freedom, and I finished Brian's Stocking. So what is going to enter into my rotation, it hasn't yet, because I've exclusively been working on my Anniversaries of the Heart. I've been trying to get it done before the end of the year. And so that is the only thing that I have been working on for like the last week, I think. Yeah, I think it's been about a week that I've worked on it. And I'm almost done. I only have maybe 3 or 4 more days and I'll be done with it. I don't think I'm going to finish it before Christmas because I don't think I'm going to get much chance to stitch on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but definitely the day after I am going to try to get it done. It would be so much fun if I could get it done, days before the new year and then stitch on something fun. Now the one thing that I didn't do is I did not take any of these out and press them. Normally I like to press everything before I show it on camera, but I just decided that today it would be so much easier and quicker if I just gathered up what I wanted to talk about today and show them. And I hate pressing everything and then having to, fold it back up and stick it back in a project bag. So all of this stuff is not pressed and, please forgive me. So now that I have finished Brian's Stocking, my plan is to begin working on again Autumn at Heckling Hollow. I started this back in August of 2017, I believe. I'm pretty positive it was 2017. I tried to look back on my Instagram posts, but I never showed a picture of this until after I had been stitching on it for a little while. And I worked on it for probably a month. And then when Halloween at Heckling Hollow was released, I started it. So I either started this in August of 2017 or August of 2018. And as soon as I pull out Halloween at Hawthorne Hollow, then I'll know the year exactly. But this is how far I have gotten. So I had finished the top of it and then put it away so I could start working on Halloween. And then I picked it back up again sometime in the next year, and I got the very first block done. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 40 count vintage country mocha with all of the DMC that is called for. I'm stitching it with one thread over two. So this is the one that I am going to pick back up and begin stitching as soon as my Anniversaries of the Heart is done. And this will be in my weekend rotation until it is finished. If for any reason I get to where I'm feeling burnt out, I am not allowed to start anything new. I have to go to the WIP basket and I have to pull something from the WIP basket out of there to take its place. But I'm really hoping that by, having it only as a Saturday and Sunday stitch, that I will keep motivated to continue stitching on it. One change that I am going to do, and I actually didn't even really notice this until I started listening to other Flosstubers that are stitching on Autumn, and also on Facebook. I saw it mentioned a couple of times, and then on Instagram I had saw it finished where so right here, this is Halloween. So the rest of it's all fall, and then you have these two blocks right here that are Halloween. And I never really even gave it any thought. I just figured, well, Halloween, it falls during autumn. But by leaving the Halloween in there, it makes it more of a Halloween piece. So then I would think, well, I need to take this down when Halloween's over, and then put up something autumn. So I decided to eliminate it. And what I'm going to do is I have the houses of Hawthorne Hollow, and I think I have the village. Or I've either looked at the village, but what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to pull two blocks out of those and insert them in the Halloween spot, and then I'm going to take the two Halloween pieces and insert them in the Halloween at Hawthorne Hollow, because there's a couple of blocks in there that I'm not, I think I would think the Halloween works a little bit better in those two places. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I think that those two would be great substitutes, because I wasn't really that hot about those particular two blocks. So next in my WIPS is Halloween at Hawthorne Hollow. So the two blocks that I'm not like super enthused about is this one where it's like all full coverage skeletons. And then I think this one right here, the one that's the mermaid and the lagoon and the ship, I think I'm going to take those two out, and I'm going to put the graveyard and the witch flying. I think that would just be perfect. I am also stitching it on 40 count vintage country mocha, and this is as far as I got. I honestly don't know how long it's going to take me to stitch the autumn at Hawthorne Hollow. I'm hoping that I'll be able to, get through it and maybe have it finished by the end of summer. I just don't know. Until I get back to stitching it, I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to complete each block as I go. But let's see if there's a date on here. There is not. So I either started stitching autumn in 2017, August, or I started it in August 2018, because I started it a month before this one was released. So hopefully I will have those two finished at some point in my life, but my plan is to pick up autumn, and that's going to be my weekend rotation. And I hope that maybe when I do my update video, I've already started working on this, or I'm getting ready to start it, because I've been very anxious to work on autumn. And I think it was so tempting in the summer to set Brian's stocking aside for, a couple of weeks while I worked on autumn, but I'm so glad that I didn't, because I just barely got a finish on his stocking. And if you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on Facebook, I posted a picture of it, and I will show it in my update video. But I think it turned out really, really well, and I'm so glad that I have it finished because I was absolutely stressed I was not going to get it done by Christmas. And he loves it. And I had a couple of people ask if he, if I showed him his finished stocking, and yes, he watched me work on it the whole time I was working on it. He also watches my Flosstube videos the day that they come out, so he's been watching my progress on it for the last, gosh, when did I pick it back up again? The end of May, so he's been watching me work on it since then. Next up is Women of the Mayflower. So I started this one back in, well, when the stitch along started. So when was that? September 6th. I worked on it for a couple of weeks, had it in my rotation, and then I set it aside because I needed to focus on my anniversaries and, Brian's stocking, and there was some other stuff I wanted to work on, and so I set it aside. So my pilgrims will not, obviously they didn't land on November 6th or 11th or whenever it was supposed to have happened. I can't remember. They probably will land sometime next year. And before I forget, my Halloween, I'm stitching it 1/2 on the 40 count with the DMC conversion. So the progress that I made, and here is Coming to America. It is by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. I'm stitching mine on a piece of 36 count linen by X Jude Designs. I'm not a fan of the linen, but I feel like I've come way too far to stop now, and I'm just going to push ahead. I think what I'm going to do is go back in and outline the birds. I might even, because right now they're stitched 1/2 on 36 count, and I might even go back in and add a second thread to them. And sitting this far back, I can see the ship, but I can't see the sails. And I'm not the best judge because I'm not wearing my glasses, and so my phone is actually blurry. And right now I'm just hoping that the picture is not blurry and that everything is in focus because I can't see it. So hopefully you can see it and it looks clear. But for me, I can make out the bottom of the boat from here. So anyway, it's a piece of 36 count linen from X Jude Designs. It's a beautiful piece of linen. But if I had to do it all over again, I would not have chosen that particular linen. I would have went with the called for, which I believe was Vintage Country Mocha. These are the threads. So it's a mixture of Fancy Floss and DMC. And the color palette is absolutely beautiful. So I'm hoping at some point to have that just probably back in my regular rotation. There's only certain ones that I usually have as just strictly weekend and nothing else, and that's just the ones that have really been hanging out in my mocking basket. They've been there for several years, like the Hawk Run Hollows have been. But ones like this one, I'll just work it into my rotation as the year goes on, and then just maybe kind of hope for a finish next year, because that would be a lot of fun. So next in the mocking basket is Celtic Autumn by Lavender and Lace. I started this back on September 1st with Lisa from Lisa Loves Stitchin'. And so I started on Celtic Autumn and she started the opposite. So I think she started spring. I had only planned on working on her just on that one day, and then eventually would get back to her in the new year. So I just wanted to be able to start her. I am stitching it with the Janet Granger conversion, and I'm stitching her on 28 count doubloon. And this is all of the progress that I made. So the way that I'm doing my rotation is that Celtic Autumn has to be stitched on 2 days each month. So when I was looking at the calendar, I got to thinking about, the seasons and, You know, like for instance, we just had the winter solstice yesterday on December 21st. So I thought it might be kind of fun to, during the month, to do 2 days of stitching somewhere between, you know, the 20th and the 22nd, just kind of depending on when they fell, because I didn't want to, you know, be working on my Celtic Autumn on a Saturday and Sunday. So sometime in the month around, you know, between like the 20th and the 25th, I just have to pick 2 days, and those are the 2 days that I will be working on Celtic Autumn. So you will be seeing her pop up in my videos next year, at least once a month. And, you know, I just basically, you know, even though the progress will be very, very slow, I just want to be able to stitch on her and, you know, maybe at some point down the road, you know, get her done. So the only way to get anything done is to start stitching on it. And so that's my motto. I'm just gonna stitch on it. I am stitching it with all DMC, and so I have everything in one of the little floss boxes. I'm just missing one pack of beads, and it's out in my dungeon. I just keep forgetting to put it in my box. I'm also stitching it with some petite treasure braid, which I think Celtic Autumn was the first time I had ever used the treasure braid, and I love it. It is so much easier to stitch with than Krynic, like 100 times easier to stitch with. Next up in the mocking basket, so I have to tell you that I started working on this, was it the year before last? Or was it last year? It must have been the year before last. I must have just had the very barest of start. In fact, I think it might have been Stitch Mania 2019 is when I started working on it. Worked on it for a little while and set it aside. And then it ended up hanging out in the mocking basket for almost a year. And I decided to pull it out and start working on this. So this is the Scarlet House American Farmhouse. And I love seeing this when people are working on it. I love seeing it finished. It is so beautiful. But I am just having the hardest time. And so I had worked on it. I got really mad at it, and then I just sort of threw it in its project bag and just stuffed it in the bottom of my mocking basket. And what it was is this barn right here. I restitched it 3 times, and I'm still off somewhere, and I don't know what I did. And I basically just need to pull this out and work on this next year and just get it done, because I don't really have that much farther to go. I just have to finish the barn. There's like a grassy area underneath, and then the 2 quilt blocks, and then I'll be done with it. I'm stitching this on a piece of 36 count ale by Picture This Plus with all of the called for everything. And the needle minder comes from Mad for Minders. And I just took the whole thing off and I just stuffed it in the bottom of the project bag. I was so frustrated, and I was just done with it. And here are the threads. They're beautiful. The whole project is beautiful. I got very angry at it because I had ripped it out 3 times and I had restitched it, and it's so frustrating when things like that happen and they just don't work out the way that you want them to. So at some point, maybe in the summer, I am going to force myself to take it out of the project bag and just start working on it again until it's finished. So hopefully I can get this done in 2021 and take it out of the mocking basket. Because every time I see it finished on Instagram or Facebook, I want to pull it out and start working on it, and then I just think of I'm gonna have to fudge what is in there, and it seems like a lot of work. Next in the mocking basket is Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut, and I started this back in the summer. I can't remember exactly when I did, but I was stitching this with Brenda, Yvette, Carol, and Kristie. And I think Yvette decided it wasn't her cup of tea, and she stopped, and I think this house right here is done, and I think she's gonna make it into a little small or something. But she she threw in the towel. And I was really tempted to too, and I thought, no, I'm gonna keep going. So I am stitching it on a piece of, I think, 36 count tin ruff. And my tin ruff is very dark, bluish gray. I'm stitching it 2/2. And I think stitching it 2/2 is kind of helping, helping it not blend in so much. But this is all the farther that I got. These are all of the colors, so it's a mixture of DMC, Classic Colorworks, and Weeks Dye Works. Beautiful color palette, very patriotic. So next up is one that you guys have already seen, and that is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. This is a stitch along that Kristie from Crosshatch Quilts and Lori Holt, so the two of them were working on this together, and then it sort of blossomed into a stitch along. I started it, and I had kind of hoped that I would have it done by the end of the year, but that's just not, there's just no way. But that's okay. I will have plenty of time to work on it next year. I am stitching mine on a piece of 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. And this is all of the farther that I got. I was at least hoping to work my way over to, or at least have the pumpkin started, but I ended up making a mistake and had to spend a little time ripping. And then I ended up setting it aside. Here are all of the colors of the sampler, or all of the colors that I'm using in the sampler. Some are the called for, some are the not called for. But I tried to keep it within the same color family. Next up is a fairly recent new start for me. This is Anne Priest by the Scarlet House. I started this back in November on my birthday. So this is the other one that I decided that I did want to work on. And so similar to Celtic Autumn, I pick 2 days in the month, and those 2 days I will be working on Anne Priest. So I think I decided to work on it around the 11th and 12th of each month, since my birthday was November 12th. And I thought, that would be kind of perfect, just to, kind of pick the same time frame that I had started in November and work on it the rest of the year. So every month you will see progress on Anne Priest. It will be very slow progress, but it's progress nonetheless. And this is my progress so far. So all I did was get the barest start on the border. And I think what I will do is I will continue working on the border until it is all done, because the other half of this piece is going to go with Maria Finney. And I think that the sampler is going to go this way. And then the piece that's here goes to Maria Finney. So I decided to leave it big just in case. I would hate to, cut it and then have it not be big enough, or, I would hate that. So I decided to leave the whole thing together. And then once I get the border all the way stitched, then I can go ahead and cut the piece for Maria Finney. And I have that to show you down here in the Heckling Drawer of Kits. I don't want to say that I went a little bit overboard, but I might have. And all I can do is say 2020. It made me happy, to get pretty fabrics and threads and charts in the mail instead of the gloom and doom that, you see them everywhere you went, every corner you turn. I mean, you go out in public and everyone's wearing a mask, and, it's just sad. Everything's just sad. And so it was happy. It was fun. You get something in the mail, some pretty threads, some pretty linens, and so I'm just going to blame 2020. Here are all of the threads for Anne Priest. And I love it. I'm really looking forward to starting back to work on her, because I've only worked on her the one day, and I have been anxious to get back to her ever since I started. So when I was kind of, making my plans for 2021, I decided I took the two things that I'm really the most excited to work on, which was Celtic Autumn and Priest, and I just put them into my stitch rotation just so I can work on them a little bit each month. It might take me a while to finish both of them, but I feel like I just need them in my rotation. Next up is Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Kathy Barrick. So I started this one late summer, I think it was, worked on it a little bit through October, and then I think by November I had set it aside. I'm working on this one with Kristie of Crosshatch Quilts, and we did have a hashtag, and I will scroll it here, and I will also put it down below. I am very anxious to get back to this one as well, and the progress that I had made on it is this. So I got the house done, the orange house, and I think I was getting ready to work on the fence below the tree and kind of work my way over to the other house. But then someone that I was following along on Instagram, was it Jen Lee, Quirks and Stitches? Did she go straight down? I don't remember. Somebody, instead of working all the way across, as soon as they got here, they went straight down and they were working down in here. And I might go that way too, because I think it would go a little bit faster than working my way over to the other house, because the house took me a little while. I mean, that's a big house. So I haven't decided which direction I want to go yet. I'm kind of a creature of habit. I start in the left and I work my way over to the right, and then I go down and I will start in the left and I work my way to the right all the way down to the bottom. So I don't know how much it would throw me off to then just drop straight down and start working below the house. I don't know, I'm kind of a creature of habit. It looks like I was working on filling in the year above the house. So I really do want to get back to this one because it is a beautiful piece and I love it, and I have missed working on it, and I know I've had a couple of you guys ask when I will be getting back to it, and I will be getting back to it because I love it. And these are all of the beautiful threads. Beautiful. So, and I think I did say at the beginning of the video that the way that the WIPS are, the two oldest ones are the ones that I'm going to be working on over the weekend, and that these will just be in my regular rotation. And then the last thing in my mocking basket of WIPS, so what I do is in the mornings, Monday through Friday, when Ethan is getting ready for school, I will sit down for about a half hour, 45 minutes. I sit down and I stitch on something small. So in October, I had started working on Basket of Jacks by Not Forgotten Farm. And I think I just kind of started this one a little late in the month, and I underestimated the size of the basket. And I started it and I thought, oh, I'm going to whip this out in a week, and I didn't. So this is all the farther I got. And when I finish this, it's going to just be a little small pillow that I'll put in my trench bowl. And I'm hoping at some point, maybe in the summer, I'll pick this back up and start working on it. Or maybe I'll just get a wild hair in, April and start working on it. I'm stitching Basket of Jacks on a piece of 36 count Purled Barley by Lakeside. And these are the colors. So I think there was only four colors in the whole thing, and I just pulled from ones that I had in my stash. So I'm stitching it, what is it, 2/2? No, 1/2. So I'm hoping to get through as much as I possibly can of the mocking basket. My goal is to not put any more into it, but I am to take stuff out of it. So the way that I'm going to do my rotation in 2021 is I will, of course, have my weekend WIP. So that will be my long-standing WIP, which will be Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow. And let's say that I'm stitching and I, for whatever reason, something that I'm working on, I'm just not loving. I need to set it aside for whatever reason, I am not allowed to start anything new. I have to then go to the mocking basket and I have to pull something out of there and start working on it. The only way I can start a new project is if I finish something. I'm trying to be better about not being enabled to start, like if I'm, let's say I'm working on, what have I got on my, Anne Priest. So let's say I'm working on Anne Priest. I've been working on her for a couple of weeks and I'm like, so-and-so just posted the brand new Blackbird, whatever Blackbird release is, and I think I need to drop everything and I need to start it immediately. I am not allowed to do that. I am on a buying freeze. I'm not allowed to buy anything new. I need to work on the things that I have. And so I just have to go. I have to, the only way I can set, like let's say I got annoyed with Anne Priest and I need to set her aside. I can only go to the mocking basket and pull something out of there and start working on it. I can't start something new until I finish something. So I know it's a pretty hard and fast rule, but I feel like that is the only way that I'm going to be able to, work on what I've got. Because I did go a little bit crazy. You'll see I've got the kits sitting down here. I also have some that you're not going to see because I haven't put them together yet. So it could be I have a lot of smalls that I'm going to be working on and I just haven't, matched those up with linen and thread yet. So you won't see those in this basket. These are just the ones that I've been kitting up that I'm going to show that are fully kitted and ready to go. But the only way I can start something out of this basket is if I have finished something. So, for instance, I'm about ready to finish my Anniversaries of the Heart. So I would be like, well, now I can start something new because I have finished something. Or if I'm working on it and I think, I'm just not enjoying this, I can't start anything new. I have to go to the mocking basket and I have to pull something out of there and I have to work on it. So I feel pretty comfortable doing it that way. I like so many other people, I got horribly enabled during 2020, but it was hard because everything just really, 2020 sucked. It really did. And I'm looking for it to be over. I'm waiting for the finale of 2020 because who knows, anything could happen. We still have a week and a half left. By the time you see this video, we'll only have a week left, less than a week. So I'm very confident and I'm happy with that, even though that's a pretty hard and fast rule. A lot of people were in the same boat as me. They went and they bought and they bought and they bought. Now they've got all this stuff and they think I can't, it's time to get down to business and it's time to do some stitching. So anyway, I picked up this. This is a Needleworker's Enthusiastic 2021 Book of Days. So it is a calendar, and I have already partially filled out January. So this is what it looks like so far. I have no idea how well it is showing up on camera, but as you can see, on Wednesdays I have Olga's stocking. And Yvette and I are going to continue working on Olga's stocking until she is done. And then we already have chosen our next project, which will take her place when she is done. I have Anne Priest on the 11th and 12th of January. And down here, I have Celtic Autumn. So I am very excited. And if you were paying attention and you looked up on January 1st, you would have saw my New Year, New Start. So my New Year, New Start for 2021 is Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street Sampler. So I'm going to be stitching this with Yvette. We have both been looking forward to starting this for like the last 4 or 5 months. I absolutely love this. I was able to purchase it earlier in the year. And I kind of knew I was going to do it as my New Year, New Start. And then I kind of roped Yvette into it because she's had it in her stash and she's wanted to start it for a long time too. And so we've both been really looking forward to starting it. I have not done, I haven't kitted it, I've kitted it, but I haven't like organized my kit. So I have all of the DMC, which is what I am going to be stitching it in. And then because I have been working on kitting up something else, which I am going to be showing you, 123 Stitch accidentally sent me the wrong color of NPI silk, and it is one of the called for colors in here, so I'm gonna use it in here. That way at least I'm using it, and it just doesn't go sit in my floss box. I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. And the way that I'm going to do my rotation is that I will keep this in my rotation until it is finished. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to maybe have it finished by maybe the end of February. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me. It could be into March before I have it done, but I'm going to stick with it and I'm going to work on it until it's done. So on January 1st, I'm going to start this. And I think, let me look at the calendar. So January 1st is on a Friday, so I will only work on it that one day. And then Saturday and Sunday will be Autumn at Heckling Hollow. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday of that first week in January, I will be working on it. And I am very happy about, you know, before I did Flosstube, I used to be a pretty monogamous stitcher, and even though I have things in my rotation, I like the idea of keeping what I am working on, my main project, in my rotation until it's done. And it's going to be interesting to see how much more I can get done, whether I do get more done, whether I get less done, or whether it's about the same. So that's going to be kind of, you know, I'm going to see if that works in my rotation in 2020, doing it that way, versus having a 2-week rotation, rotating things in and out as I go. So I think it's going to work out good. Holiday Inn by Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. I have the called for threads. So it's just a very beautiful mix of autumn. And the linen that I am going to be stitching on is a piece of 32 count mystery linen from Mustache. All it says is 32 count. So this one is Miriam Dowd by Primitive Things. I just got this in the mail the other day. I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of 40 count Mallow, and I'm going to do it with the called for DMC. My plan is to stitch this, and the quilt that is across the room from me, there is a narrow space between the other wall and the quilt, and I'm going to stitch it and hang it right in between the wall and the quilt. I think it'll be perfect there. This Stacy Nash Primitives, Houses of Berry Chapel Road, Turkey Hollow Farm. And I just got this one a couple months ago. I had been on the hunt for it and it kept selling out on me, and I was finally able to get it. I think I got it from 123 Stitch. And I have not, it's very sad. I don't have this on any floss bobbins or anything like that because I don't have, all the floss bobbins are being taken up by other stuff. So here are the threads. They're kind of all mashed together. I pulled them from my stash, and I think they're all of their, if I've made any substitutions, I've made sure to write it down. I'm going to stitch it on a piece of 36 count antique white that I plan on tea coffee dyeing before I start. And then next up is Maria Finney, 1832, Adam and Eve's House by Shakespeare's Peddler. So my husband picked this out when we went up to Acorns and Threads. And the other piece of so the linen that I'm stitching and priest on, this is what's going to be on the other side. And I think there's just enough. And I also don't have these on a floss ring. I need to get some. I need to just order some of the, I guess they're called binder rings. I just need to order some of them from Amazon after the holidays. So here are all of the threads. I was able to find them all, and I love them. So beautiful. Then this is Jack's Bash by Plum Street. I recently saw Emily of Eclectic Possessions. She just finished this and it was beautiful. So beautiful. So I was able to find all of the threads. I had a little bit of it was a little tricky, but I was able to find all of the threads. I think I had to get it from like 4 different places, but I went up to Acorns and Threads, and then I was able to purchase them from Fire Poppies, and so here are all the threads, and it's so beautiful, and I love it. I am going to stitch it on a piece of 37 count corn tassel that I picked up from Fire Poppies. So I think that is very beautiful. That is by Legacy Linen. And I think that I'm going to change the verse down below, but I haven't decided. I want to do some sort of like a fall Halloween-y type verse. So this one, I am just going to, I'm just going to show it like this. So this is Heartstring Samplery, His Eye on the Sparrow. And I have a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha that is out with my linen. I just haven't put it together yet because I need to cut the linen before I put it in here, and I don't want to cut it until right before I get ready to start. I have been very slowly kitting it up. I kind of went through my stash and I had some of the threads. I was able to pick up a few more when I went up to Acorns and Threads. Oh gosh, I guess that's been about a month ago now. Souvenirs of the Heart, Autumn and Amana by With Thy Needle and Thread. I was supposed to stitch this one this year, but I just never quite made it. I'm pretty positive I have all of the called for, and if I don't, it probably, what I'm missing is in some of these other ones. So these are the threads that I have so far. It is Grateful, Thankful, Blessed by With Thy Needle and Thread. I have seen this one finished over the fall, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to start stitching it. I am going to work on it on a piece of 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. I am stitching it with all of the called for threads or DMC. And when I was looking at the chart, it calls for 2 Classic Colorworks Belle Soul silk floss, and I went and I looked up how much it was, and my budget laughed at me. And then I went to go look to see where it was needed in the house, and I think it's only in the Stars and one other place. And I thought, no, I can substitute. So what I decided to substitute it with is a piece of DMC 08, and I think that is for the belt on one of the, I think it's his belt, or it's the roof. I don't remember. Whatever it was, there wasn't enough of it to justify buying the silk for it. And then I think somewhere in here is the other one that I substituted in, but I don't remember. And here is my thread pull for it. So at some point in the coming new year, I will be working on that as well. Next up, and I don't think I'm going to take it apart, but this is Gather with Grateful Hearts by Plum Street Sampler. This was one of the kits that I got from the Acorns and Threads retreat that I went to, the Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. And it's roughly the same size as the Liberty's Welcome and Yuletide Welcome, Ghoultide Welcome. And so this one will be perfect for autumn. So I left it all kitted up, and all I have to do is get to it. Speaking of Ghoultide Welcome, here it is by Plum Street Sampler. So this was also one that I had been kind of searching for and that I was finally able to get during the summer. I am stitching it on a piece of 36 count Mellow, and I am stitching it with the called for DMC. And I have it all ready to go. Originally, I thought that I might start working on it this year, but it did not happen. And then Christmas at Hollyberry Farm by Stacy Nash. So this one and all of the hollyberries have been on my wish list for several years, and I've seen it finished. Just the other day I saw somebody had finished it, and it's so beautiful. And this was also one that I thought maybe I would be able to get to this fall, but it didn't happen. And I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus with the called for threads. And it doesn't really call for a ton of threads. And then Nevermore by Lila Studio. I also thought this one might be one that I got to this fall, but I feel like it's that situation where, you know, you're like really hungry and you go to like a buffet and you pile up your plate because you're just so hungry, and then you sit down and you can only eat like not even half of it. I feel like that's the way kitting up all of these have been, because there's a few of these in here that I thought I was going to get to this year, and I think it just, my eyes were bigger than my fingers could stitch. These are the called for threads. Very beautiful color palette. And I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of 36 count Field Spar by Picture This Plus. And I think this is the called for. Yes, this is the called for. And I love it. It's beautiful. Beautiful linen. So hopefully, you guys are probably at this point going, yeah, she's looking at like 10 years, 10 at least. And you probably would be right. We'll see. So at the end of 20, so I know that all of the stuff I have is kitted up and I know what they are. So we'll see at the end of the year. At that very last video that I do of 2021, when I'm talking about my plans for 2022, we'll have to see how many of these I actually do get through. So this one I'm going to go ahead and leave in its bag, but this is Sweet Finch by Samplers Not Forgotten. This one was gifted to me, and that is going to be the perfect small for me to work on in the morning and get done for spring this year. So beautiful. And I'm also going to leave this one kitted up. So this is the First Winds of Autumn. This kit was also gifted to me. And the reason why I hadn't got to this one yet, so I've been wanting to stitch this one for the past couple of years. But what happened was, as I was working on my Queen of Freedom and Sally Spencer, both of those had went out of print while I was working on them. And every day I was getting emails. I would either get an email, I would get an Instagram message, Facebook message, even on Pinterest. I was having people contact me wanting my charts. And so I hesitated on working on this one because at the time it was out of print. However, now Blackbird has released their new Winds of Autumn book, and this is one of them that's in the book. And I'm sorry that it's not showing up very good. So now I can finally start on this one, and I'm very excited to. Next up is Halloween, Holly Berry. And I've had this one on my wish list for a really, really long time. And then it would sell out on me when I was ready to buy it. And then I finally came back into stock somewhere and I snagged it. This is the called for threads that I will be stitching it with. And I am going to stitch it on a piece of 36 count 18th Century Rook by, I think this is R&R. And then we have Summer at Hollyberry Farm. I love this one. I love that big white house. I just love this whole thing. I love all of it. And I've been very excited to have this one in my stash. I thought maybe this summer I was going to be able to stitch it, but again, my eyes are bigger than my fingers can stitch. So there's that. I do have the called for threads, and let me check. I do have Country Redwood. I don't know, somebody told me this takes several skeins of Country Redwood, and it looks like I'm going to mix Lancaster Red in with it in order to, because I think you need like 2 or 3 skeins of Country Redwood, and for a long time it was sold out, and think I was able to finally find one skein of it, and then Lancaster Red is a pretty good. So there's the three of them together. And then I have a piece of 36 count vintage country mocha that I'm going to be stitching it on. And then we have Sunflower Farm by Kathy Barrick. I think I got this one back in the like late spring, early summer after she had released it. These are the called for threads, or 3 of the called for threads, and then the rest of them are in other kits, or I will do DMC. And I'm going to stitch on a piece of 36 count cream brulee. I'm not sure who cream brulee is by. It's possible. I don't know if this is an R&R, but it's cream brulee. And that is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. I love when I see this pop up on Instagram or Facebook. I just love this piece so much. I have it fully kitted and ready to go on a piece of Weeks Dye Works 35 count cappuccino. And I have all of the called for threads. And here they are. So at some point, I would like to be able to start working on it. Halloween Quaker by Lila's Studio. And I love this one. And I know that one's going to take me a while to stitch it. So I have to make sure that I'm good and ready and that I'm okay with, you know, hanging out with it for a while. I have all of the called for threads. Originally, when I started kitting it, I was going to do it with DMC, but I had a number of you guys contact me and tell me to buy the called for, because it's the called for threads and the called for fabric that really make the piece. And so I listened, and I got a piece of 32 count Murky. This is Lavender and Lace, Celtic Christmas. This one was also gifted to me. It was gifted to me fully kitted with this beautiful project bag. So as soon as I finish Celtic Autumn, I'm going to start on this one, and she is absolutely lovely. And then this is the one that I have been very slowly kitting up, and that is Rachel Howell's 1856 by the Scarlet House. So I've already decided that this is my summer stitch, and I'm going to start this sometime late spring, early summer of 2021. I have been very, very slowly kitting it with the called for NPI, because originally I was going to kit it with DMC, but several of you guys were like, don't do it, kit it with the called for NPI, because that's really what makes the whole piece shine. And so I have 3 so far, and I have 2 sitting in my shopping cart on 1-2-3 Stitch. Yvette also shared her leftover with me, so technically I could go ahead and start it. I just would run out of certain colors right away. I'm going to be stitching it on a piece of 36 count Legacy that Yvette shared with me, and I'm so excited to start working on this piece. She has been calling to me and calling to me and calling to me, and I cannot wait. I think this is going to be a fun summer stitch. And then this one here, which I think I originally showed this earlier in autumn, and I was planning on starting it, and then it just didn't happen, and that is Reverend Gordon Squash Bottom. So when Yvette and I finish Olga Stocking, this is what we're going to work on together. I do not have it kitted with the DMC because it is in my master set, but I will be stitching it on a piece of 32 count linen that I tea coffee dyed. Next up is Jack's House Pin Keep by Stacy Nash. I have the called for threads. I just have to match it up with some linen. So I'm just gonna kind of wait until I have some pieces of linen that I need to cut. And so when I get ready to stitch this, I will just, I'll cut a piece of linen for it. So this will be another small that I work on in the mornings. So this one here is one that I have been very slowly kitting up. The chances of me starting it in this coming year, I don't know how. It's possible that I might start working on it, but this is one that I'm going to as the year goes on, I'm going to continue to kit up. And that is G. Leger 1898. And I know a lot of people are working on this. It's beautiful. I love this red house. I love the alphabet. I think the alphabet is what really does it for me because it's so unique. And I'm going to do it in the called for Gentle Arts. And this is what I have so far. I think I'm only missing 1, 2, 3, 4 threads, but I think a couple of these I need to get some more of. And so here are the threads. So maybe I'm a little bit closer than I thought. I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count vintage country mocha linen. So this one technically should be in my basket of WIPS. I did start it and then I had to set it aside. This is Not Forgotten Farm Parson Brown. I started this as my morning stitch and then I ended up working on Mary and Minty, and so I'll be getting back to this one in January. But I did already start it. I've got the DMC for it. And I just stuck it back in here in my kits. I'm not sure why it ended up in the kits and not in my WIPS, but that's all the start I got. And I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count summer khaki. Almost done. Almost done. I know, it's insane. So this is Noel Sampler by With Thy Needle and Thread. I thought maybe this was another one that I was going to get to this winter, or December, but I did not. I have it kitted up with all of the DMC, and Yvette sent me a piece of 36 count vintage cedar plank because I absolutely loved Carol's finish on it, Carol Crago. It was so beautiful and it was perfect. And I love, it wasn't Christmassy, so I could easily leave it up all winter, and that's perfect to me. So there it is again, and I apologize for the glare. This is Winter Rose Manor, and I know I showed this when I got it in the mail. I know a lot of people are working on it on Instagram. Also another one I thought I was going to start working on this month. But I love it. It's so beautiful. And I was lucky enough when I went up to Acorns and Threads, they had just got in some of the Brenda's Brew, so I got it in 40 count. Because I know I mentioned this before, but I do live in a small house, so wall space is going to be very, very limited. And so things that I know that I'm going to hang up on the wall, I am, instead of, saying, the called for is 32 count, I'm bumping it to 40 count. Just, for space reasons. And then if I know it's something that's just gonna, sit out here or even the Santa there, then I'll go ahead and put it on the called for. But anything that I think I'm gonna hang on the wall, then I'm going to do it on a smaller count of fabric. That way I can stitch more and sort of like collage them together. I have the called for. I was able to track it all down. It was challenging. I think mulberry was the one that proved to be tricky. I think mulberry is something that is called for in a lot of samplers. So, I know this is going to be a really long video, and if you stuck with me, thank you so much. These are my favorite videos to watch. In the first part of January, what I do is if I see that a Flosstuber has come out with their WIPs and plans and, like just what I did, I will save them. And then after Christmas is over, I'll watch them all. And usually if I, because a lot of Flosstubers do this where they talk about, their plans and their, things they've been kitting up and all of that. Those are really long videos, and I love them, and I save them and I watch them, and it usually takes me about a month to watch them all. So it's fun to watch in January. The weather is so gloomy, it's rainy, it's yucky outside, and it's so fun to tune in and watch a Flosstuber talk about his or her plans, and it's just a lot of fun. I look forward to these videos every year. And I know that some of the Flosstubers that I watch, they've already kind of, dropped hints that they're going to be working on their, end of year WIPs. And yeah, I love those videos. So if you stuck with me this long, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I realize that there is, like, I would have to stitch every day, all day, and even then I probably wouldn't get all these done. But I had a lot of fun kitting everything up. It brought me so much pleasure as the year went on because everything sucked, everything was closed, you couldn't go anywhere. You go places, people give you the stink eye. And it was fun to kit it all up. And I'm really looking forward to starting to stitch. You know, I'm just gonna go, and whatever one calls to me, when one's done, that's the one I'm gonna start. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I hope that you will stick around and you'll watch my progress as I go along. I know a lot of you guys are getting sad that my Anniversaries of the Heart is starting to wrap up. I'm sad too because I had so much fun stitching on it. But hopefully you'll, continue to tune into my videos and watch my journey on other pieces, because I do plan on incorporating my family into a lot of these pieces. And I want to be able to, personalize them to me, and that way they hold, special significance, and then they will be passed down from generation to generation, along with the story of the person that I am stitching it for. So with that being said, it is time for me to go because I realize this video is very, very long, and it's going to take a very, very long time to, upload it to where I can go in and begin fiddling with it. I will be back in a week, and I will then talk about what I have been working on and hopefully have my anniversaries done to show you, because when I make that video, I think I'm going to make the video about the 31st of the month, so it's the very last day of the year. We'll see where I'm at with my anniversaries. If I'm done with my anniversaries, I'm going to go ahead and make a video. If I'm not, I might wait until January 1st to start it, but that video will be out on January 2nd. So I hope you will, come back in a week and see what I've been working on. I will have a new quilt behind me. Long Time Gone will be back. And all of the Christmas decorations will be down. It'll be sad. Can't believe it's already, I feel like I just put them all up and it's already time to take them all down in what, a week? If that, I think, yeah, by this time next week, I think is usually when I start taking them down. So guys, I am gonna go. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I really appreciate it. I do hope you had a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that you are looking forward to a brand new year. And I hope that you'll share with me what you are planning on working on. And I think next year is going to be a lot of fun. I really do hope so. So with that being said, I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.